Hello everyone. Today we're going to talk about the color wheel and its color families. On the Google Classroom post, I left a link of this video. It's called The Color Wheel, and he does a very good explanation about the color wheel and some of the things that go along with it. So I would recommend going and watching that video first, or you could watch it after. It doesn't really matter. But you may need a refresher on the color wheel from elementary. Okay, so let's jump into our presentation on color schemes or color families. Artists use different color families to show interest within their artwork. So this color wheel on the screen is a little different than what you're maybe used to. There's a bunch of layers to it, and the colors vary. So let's look at it. In the middle, it's a little lighter, and then as it goes on, it gets darker. The reason for that is that this color wheel is actually showing tints and shades of each color. A tint is when you add white to a color. So that's why at the beginning of it, in the middle, it's a little bit lighter than all the colors that follow. Sorry, my cat did that. And on the edge, the colors are much darker. And the reason for that is because the edge area is showing shades of these colors. And a shade is when you add black to a color. So, just a reminder, tints is when you add white to a color. Shade is when you add black to a color. And that's why this color wheel has many different layers. So let's talk about color schemes or color families. The first one we're going to talk about is monochromatic. Monochromatic color schemes only use one color. And the way that artists can get away with using one color in artwork is by using those tints and shades, the things that we just talked about. So when we add white or black to a color, we get different variations of that color. So on the screen, there are two examples of what this could look like. The Vincent van Gogh painting uses mostly yellow within his sunflower painting. So that's a yellow color scheme painting example. The one in the middle is a Claude Monet painting, and they use blue. So they have that really light blue to the dark blue. And just a fun fact, mono means one. So when you're thinking monochromatic, just think mono, one color. So the next color families we're going to talk about may be a little bit familiar from elementary school. And let's first look at these two examples of the color wheels to the right. The top one is warm colors. Our warm colors are yellow, orange, and red. And if you notice, this color wheel is split right down the middle. And that is because warm and cool color schemes use all 6 colors on one half of the color wheel. So this half is warm colors. Let's look down at the bottom one. The other half of the color wheel is green, blue, and purple. And these are our cool color schemes. So remember, our warm and cool color schemes are on opposite sides of the color wheel, and they're split right down the middle. Something to remember warm color schemes is maybe thinking about a fire. You think about a fire visual and at least for me, I think about a red burning flame. So like that red, and then in the middle, maybe there's some orange in it. That's how I think of warm color schemes. On the screen, there are two examples of warm and cool color schemes within paintings. So the Paul Cézanne painting is a cool color scheme because it includes those greens and those blues. The warm color scheme painting is a Georgia O'Keeffe painting, and it includes yellow, orange, and red within it. The next color scheme is analogous. And analogous color schemes is when you use three colors that are touching each other on the color wheel. So there's an example right here with the little color wheel, and it shows that a purple, a blue purple, and a blue are an example of an analogous color scheme. And here is an example of an analogous color scheme in a painting. So it looks like they're using a yellow, a red, and maybe an orange red. Before we move on, analogous, remember, is three colors that are touching on the color wheel. The next color scheme we're going to talk about is complementary. So a complementary color scheme uses two colors that are directly across from each other on the color wheel. And let's look at this little color wheel on the screen. There's a line drawn across it, and it's drawn across it from the orange to the blue. So that's an example of a complementary color scheme. You can see it in the top right in this Vincent van Gogh painting. Some other complementary color schemes we think about could be red and green. Another one could be yellow and purple. So complementary color schemes are always whenever you draw a line across the color wheel, and it's those two colors that are across from each other, that like that line goes right through. So red, green, orange, blue, yellow, purple. Triad. A triad color scheme uses three colors evenly spaced on a color wheel. The primary colors are a triad, and so are the secondary colors. This means that red, yellow, and blue are a triad. Also, orange, green, and purple are a triad too. So, think triad as in triangle. Triad, triangle. Triad, triangle. For example, look at this color wheel on the screen, and it forms a triangle between the orange, purple, and green. So, triad, triangle. And if we think about the primary colors, let's draw a triangle through that. So it starts with the red, goes to yellow, then blue. Red, yellow, blue. In a triangle. So they are a triad.